afternoon. What is going on? Happy afternoon. And so, eating my sides. I got some greens from Frenchies. It's so good. So, I've been scrolling on the interwebs, and so with InvestFest recently happening, and of course my algorithm, there is a lot of conversation on, of course, real estate and investing, home ownership, and these are just constant conversations, right? And one of the things that I wanted to point out, and I'm kind of freeballing this, but so often when it comes to homeownership, I think we overcomplicate it, right? I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be as complicated as we're making it. There's so many think pieces about real estate, why you should own it, why if it's still a viable strategy. And the fact of the matter is that I look at homeownership as securing your own mass first, right? Because number one, you need a place to live. Number two, if you are having challenges saving, like for retirement, your home is an asset, it's a tool, it's a vehicle that's going to build a forced appreciation, a forced savings for you if you decide to hold on it. I think one of the things that have kind of just blocked the long-term thinking as it relates to home ownership is that there are so many stories of get rich quick and get rich fast, and it's almost like they're only, like, this is what I see, like when you're talking about wealth, or even when you're talking about home ownership, right? The conversations are often geared towards the ultra wealthy or the extreme poor. And the challenge with that is that if you can't relate to either one of those, number one, it may have you skipping over the steps that are needed to appreciate that level, right? I help a lot of first-time home buyers. I help a lot of move-up buyers. These are not people with extensive portfolios, $100,000 homes. I mean, hundreds of cash flows and $1 million homes, right? Hundreds of doors. These are just real people like you and I that are able to make slow, slight, yet significant decisions that accelerate their growth. When I was purchasing my home, and people, one of the things, like I said, homeownership is a cost protection tool. I don't tell people what I pay for my mortgage because I know it pisses folks off comparing what rents are. Yet it's so easy to dismiss that. It's like so easy to be like, well, yeah, of course your rent's low, or of course your mortgage's low. You purchased XYZ. But here's the thing: when I purchased my home, that shit was expensive then. People was negotiating then. It's like people in hindsight always believe like they would make a better decision, but you wouldn't, and it's not to, be shady or anything like that. You wouldn't. You didn't. When homes were $150,000, when homes were $200,000, for whatever reason, you didn't make that decision then. And so when I say cost protection, it's like you have two realities for face. You can buy a home, you can own it. That does not mean that your mortgage doesn't change, right? Because if your home value goes up, your taxes go up, insurances can go up. But you're not having to deal with just the random arbitrage of somebody saying, this is what we're charging you for rent, or you having the option to move, which in itself is an expense. And so when I talk about home ownership, let's just be clear. If you cannot do it, don't do it. Like, let's not act like you have a gun to your head. You don't have to do it. If you don't believe in it, if you don't think it's smart, if you don't think it's wise, if you think the opportunity has, tune off, switch off. However, if you're like looking and saying, what can I do in my situation that will change the trajectory of either my life or the people that come after me? If you don't have children, maybe it's your niece, maybe it's your nephew, maybe it's somebody that you want to be able to care for and give for. I have strategy sessions. I remember one time I was talking with somebody and she was like, I want to be able to have a place to stay for my friends and my families when they're going on hard times. Ownership creates options, right? Dave Ramsey often says you can't help nobody when you're broke. And so what I often want to remind people is like, number one is the best buy for your budget. And there are smart ways to go into investing. My concern is that people will forego home ownership because they can't buy that luxury new construction home that's $450,000, $500,000. You don't have to start there. And that's not to say like, oh, okay, well, there are homes that exist that are $150,000. I don't know where you are. And also, I don't know what your capital looks like. See, the challenge when you purchase a home that's like, well, what can I buy for $800 a month, which is like the equivalent of a $90,000 home? How much money do you have to actually repair that house? Do you have the bandwidth to deal with the systems like the HVAC, the plumbing, all of those things. And it's like we're extreme in our examples. We're either talking about owning 50 commercial units, or we're talking about like not being able to buy something unless it's $50,000. Be realistic, right? If you're in Houston, the average lease right now is $2,200. You can buy a home for $2,200. I know, because I have clients right now that have that opportunity. We look at homes right now. But if you're just going to sit and look for the conversation that affirms what you already believe, like there are no homes out there, then of course you're going to have difficulty. There are more negotiation opportunities. There are more thank you. There are more opportunities. There are more negotiations. We have builders that are buying down rates, which definitely impact your mortgage payment. There are sellers that are offering money to closing, which impacts the total amount of cash that you need to close. And so my question is that when you're looking to find evidence for a certain reality, whether it's that there's opportunities in real estate, whether it's people that are buying, people are selling, people are moving up, like, where are you going? Are you like talking to the people that are in the same situation that you're in? There's a quote that basically says something like, you cannot solve problems on the same level that they were created. And so I'm constantly looking for perspectives and insight, and who might be looking at this a little bit differently, right? Like, who do I need to know? And there's a solution out there for you. And it may not be the easiest solution, but if we're honest, ain't none of it easy. Like I said in the beginning, it ain't easy for you to rent, have to renew your rent, and then rent goes up, and then you could do about it. Now you got to move. Now you got to pay for movers. Now you got to box up and throw out a bunch of stuff. And so a lot of times we make decisions on what's comfortable, and it may not be the best decision long term. You know, I know people, like, when I talk to them, they're like, man, I have been leasing this apartment for 5 years, for 10 years. Do you know in 10 years, in the past 10 years, homes in Houston have appreciated by almost $100,000? That's what you not doing anything. That's what you paying for a place to live, which is what you're doing now. And they've appreciated. And I think that there's just an opportunity. One of the reasons why I decided to start hopping on lives and I create clips and tips and podcasts, and make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, is because it's not about content. It's not about viral hacks and tricks and all of these things. It's about, where are you realistically? Where are you financially? And where do you desire to be? There is a best buy for your budget. And so we could like focus on what's happening in the real estate market, interest rates and sales prices. But the question really to ask is, how much can I realistically afford of housing? Now, if you are spending $1,500 a month on your apartment, please don't come to me talking about, I want to find something that's $900. Delusional is not going to get you closer to your goal, right? Action will. And so I wanted to hop on here because, like I said, I was listening to a couple podcasts from InvestFest, and just, you know, there's just a stark difference. And we talk about the home ownership gap. I understand that there's so many things that have held certain communities back, and yet you have to ask yourself, what about today is true? What's holding me back right now? What's holding me back today? Maybe it's your credit. Maybe it's the fact that you need consistent income. Maybe it is your savings, right? Maybe it's the amount of debt that you have. These are all things that you can control. These are all things that you're responsible for. So instead of spending energy focused on things that you can't control, like the government, like the war, like all of these different type of things, how can you secure your own mask first? You look back and you say, okay, well, 10 years ago, I was able to buy my house for this, so my payment is going to be roughly around that. Somebody might say, well, that was a good deal. Like I said, but 10 years ago, it wasn't a good deal. 10 years ago, somebody was like, I bet you can get that for lower. It's only a good deal in hindsight. So let me ask you a question. For the person that you know that might be like, I don't know, 5 years old right now, 5 or 6 years old right now, what are they going to look at 18 years from now when they get ready to graduate from high school and college and be like, man, I wish I could have bought in your market. I wish I could have done this. See, we're all banking on things that are not real. The market's going to crash. I don't understand that, because you're saying the market's going to crash, but the market's a reflection of the economy. Most people, when they lose their home, it's because they lost their job. So I don't know if you're praying for yourself to lose your job. I would say pray for the capacity to be able to take advantage and opportunity of this market, right? Like, take advantage of getting your feet wet, right? If you've got a home, if you're in a home currently, what can your equity do? If you have not bought a home and you're looking to get started, okay, so what can I do right now with the programs that are available? Like I said, there are down payment assistance programs. You can buy for as low as 3.5% on a $300,000 home. You know, you could be purchasing for somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000. I'm not saying it's not something worth saving. I'm not saying you could be higher or lower than that. I'm not saying that there are people that close with less than $3,000. There are people that close close to $30,000. I'm saying, what does your own personal economy look like? And are you partnering with a professional? See, the benefit of a professional will get you through your excuses. It's nonsense to say, I want to do this thing. I want to do high rocks, for example, right? I saw it last year. I was like, this looks like a great cold model into exposure therapy right now. Well, if I want to be successful at high rocks, it's going to make sense for me to get a coach that's familiar with the program, which familiar with the stations, to get into shape so that way I can perform at the best ability. Not for me to keep walking my neighborhood with my Labrador retriever, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to casually just walk my way into high rocks and then call high rocks a scam. No, you choose to partner with professionals because they've mastered a process to help you get to where you're looking to go. And you get to decide either I'm going to do it or they're going to do it. You get to trust and know them and like them and have them educate you and walk you through the steps. So if you're watching this video, number one, here are a few things. Find someone you can trust, that you can actually talk to, right? Don't hire a realtor and then go to Threads for all of your questions. Those people are not in the same city you are in. They may not even have expertise. Hell, they may not even be looking to do what you're looking to do. They could be planting seeds of doubt simply because it's not something that's on their table right now. Number two, know your numbers. This is where speaking to a lender comes from. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to talk to anybody until I've got it all figured out. To me, that's walking blind. How are you going to have it figured out if you haven't done it before? When there are professionals that can, like I said, look at your situation, have a real one-on-one conversation with you, and then guide you through the process. And then number three, start where you are. There's a best buy for your budget. That does not mean that you have to keep up with the Joneses or keep up with the Jeffersons or whoever it is that you're trying to keep up with. There's a best buy for your budget. This page talks about Houston real estate, wealth, and cash flow because I wholeheartedly believe it is a saving grace, right? We're not talking about where you are today. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now, you're going to have two options. You're either going to be working for money or your money's going to be working for you. That's why we start today. If you have any questions, go ahead and hit invest. Hit the subscribe button, you guys. I'm hopping on here all the time just to talk with you guys. Put your questions in the comments. I'll respond to them. I'll shoot a video on them, and let's get to it. Like let's start addressing what's really the core issue as it relates to owning real estate. Your questions about real estate, home ownership, investing in real estate. I'm Chase Sloan. I make Houston real estate easy. I'm a licensed realtor here in the state of Texas. I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. I'm selling real estate for 15 years, helping over 200 families buy, sell, and invest in real estate. So if you have a question, I'm here to help. Y'all have a great day. Bye.